Okay, before I begin my speech, let me ask you a quick question. What are the first words that came to your mind when I say the word helping? Have you got that yet? Well, I may not be a telepath, but my best guess that you would associate it with something like charity and kindness. And if you're wondering whether this is just an exclusive feeling, look at the study from the Evolution and Human Behavior Journal. The data shows that there's an increased interest whether giving and helping are present. So at this point, charity and helping can be seen as the universal act of kindness and selflessness. Right? Because what if I told you it is not as selfless as you may think it is? Now that's a bit controversial, right? Like, by saying this, do I have just completely disregarded every act of helping and gone full-on rebellion mode against humanity? No, of course, helping and charity are still inherently good. Instead, I'm here to invite you to a newer perspective, to help you rethink charity beyond the surface of altruism. So, before I get into any of the controversial part, let me tell you a quick story about myself. You see, I grew up in a very religious family. My grandmother, who is a Buddhist, was our pioneer in doing charity work. Because to us, doing charity was the ultimate form of helping that helped emit good energy to the surroundings. So, growing up, I was constantly surrounded by rice bag, bottles of vegan soy sauce, and charity meals. And beside those images was, of course, my grandmother, who is my teacher, my guide, and my inspiration to everything in this journey. And these early images shaped my perception of what it meant to help. Back then, for me, to help meant to give away necessity to large groups of people in need, and to become a part of something large that is dedicated to community service. A big cliche, but to that little kid, helping felt like being a superhero. Seeing the blossom joys on people's face make she inspire. Because to that little kid, she's know that somehow her little tiny existence can make people feel better. And that feeling became momentum. Charity became my passion. So, beginning high school, I knew I wanted to take it a step further. During freshman year, I joined PTNK charity club Benignity, now called TEDxYouth, worked my way up and became the vice president in sophomore year. I was lucky enough to meet 10 of the greatest people ever, built with them a tiny community that I am forever grateful for. And the rest is history. To me, Benignity was not only a name, but also a legacy. Not only did we manage to be one of the most influential charity clubs of the school, but we also managed to fundraise thousands of dollars, help hundreds of people, and ignited flame of passion for generations. So, at that point, I thought I have understood what it meant to help. Big data and effort that can be seen through donations, trips, and journeys. Until one day, news struck me. My brother, who was in 8th grade at the time, got a warning from his homeroom teacher. Coi chừng con ở lại lớp, which roughly translated to you're failing your classes. And then it hit me. He was struggling to study, and I was too occupied with my great causes to notice. Somehow, out of hundreds and hundreds of people I helped along my path, the one I failed are the one who are the closest to me. Sure, I can take on multiple trips to the foster homes, travel miles and miles to give away free charity meals, yet I still failed. Failed to help who are the closest to me, living under the same roof and by my side, my brother. And then I realized that my definition of helping and charity was wrong. For long, I thought to help meant to look for in massive, big, and specialized foster homes, homeless shelters, and on the street, where I thought who might need help and who they might look like. Notice anything wrong with that statement? Finding those who I thought that might need help. Since when was the neediness is based on us? And that made me curious. What is the scientific reason behind all of this? So after doing some research, I found out that there's this concept called the helper's high, where we feel pleasure following an act of altruism and helping. Hence, this pushes our tendency to magnify every effort because the bigger the effort, the higher we feel. And because of this, help is allocated in more visible places, such as big campaigns, rather than places that are less obvious, such as, in this case, my brother. And that's why people tend to overlook what true charity requires, ensuring who needs help actually receive the help they deserve. And regardless of how this self-interest and egotism might sound, it isn't exactly immoral. In fact, we humans are born with it. It is a part of our biological evolutions. Since the beginning of time, we humans have been social beings who rely on cooperation for survival. And this biological effect helped to further that mechanism, allowing us to survive until today. So, this helper's high is deeply human. And it isn't wrong to have such self-interest either. What truly matters is how you decided to pivot that self-interest into helping others. A foundation where your altruism can thrive immensely, and that can benefit both the receiver and the giver. And of course, I'm not here to say that who deserves help more than anyone or us being selective with our effort, because helping are still inherently good. We should still help as many people as we can. In fact, take my word for today as a motivation for you to advance your own journey of helping. What I'm trying to say is, helping or doing charity overall should not be based on any metrics or any assumption of any kind. Helping, at its core, should always be about those in need. And those in need isn't limited to the homeless, but also your classmate, your family members, and maybe even yourself, who's willing to listen to everybody's story, yet never really got the chance to write for your own once. Therefore, help may begin anywhere anytime, and sometime it may begin closer and more unexpectedly than you may think. So, back to my brother's story. As the older sister, I decided to take some responsibility. I took a break from clubs and took my time to help him. It was difficult at first, but after one practice test at a time and after a long session of studying together, we managed to gradually improve, turning a 4 into a 7. We still have a long way to go, but I'm proud of what he has achieved. And stepping away from charity club doesn't mean that I have completely disregarded them. In fact, I'm still doing charity on the side, but this time helping our community grow alongside with my own community. So, how are you going to help our and your own community?